Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is tech.sam. If you're seeing this channel for the first time, in tech.sam, I talk about everything DevOps, cloud computing, and tech in general. So if this is something that you'll be interested in, kindly subscribe to my channel, watch my videos, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. So whenever I post content, you get notified immediately. So today we're going to continue our 100 days of DevOps. We've done day 1 to 5. Today is day 6, and today I'll briefly be talking about something that people neglect, but it is very, very important. And what is that? I'm talking about environmental variables and dot files. Environmental variables and dot files. So this is very, very important in the sense that it's key to building custom CLI workflows. It makes our script, if you're writing bash scripts, we just completed the series of on bash scripts. So feel free to check those videos out, and it's actually something you're going to benefit from. So it's very, very important. It is also used to manage secrets, because as DevOps engineers, you don't want to expose important or confidential information whenever you push your code to GitHub repository, or whenever you're working on the terminal. There's some very, very important information that you want to keep as a secret. So environmental variables and dot files helps us achieve that. So I'm going to go straight to environmental variables. So what are environmental variables? They are they're like key value pairs that you store them in your system, and it shapes or it configures your system to work in a certain way. So it kind of changes the behavior of your system. That's if you are working as a system administrator. As a DevOps engineer, environmental variables are basically where you keep, like I said, your important information that you don't want to expose to the general public. Things like your password, your API key, your maybe Docker username, your any information that is private or personal to you is usually stored in your .env file. That's your environmental variable file, and that variable sits with you. It sits on your system. You don't push it. If you're using Git, or we're going to cover Git later on. So if you're using Git, you don't push your environmental variable to GitHub. So those are some things that you need to understand about environmental variable. So when I covered bash scripting, I talked about variables. So the concept is still the same. The concept is still the same. The variables I covered in bash scripting and environmental variables, the concept is still all the same, where you save commands that you would run often. You save it as a variable, and then you can use it several times. So now, how do you see a variable? So let's do echo. This is one variable. This user is a variable, and it's a variable that shows you the name of the person that is logged into the system. So I can as well, this is just similar to typing who am I. It's similar to typing who am I. So basically it's a variable. This user is a variable that shows you who you are. Like it shows you the person that is logged in on your system. So if you want to check your home directory path, so you can do this another environmental variable. So this shows you your home directory. So that's the user's home directory. It shows you the user's home directory. So, and those are basically the concept of variables. So variables can actually be defined just the same way we did in our shell scripting. Let's say let's define a variable. Let's say let's give the variable greeting or greet. Let's say okay, greeting. And I do equals to. So what do I want this to do? I want it to show me display hello from DevOps. So I want whenever I call this variable, it displays hello from DevOps. So greetings has been saved as a variable for hello from DevOps. So when I click enter and I echo greetings, it shows me hello from DevOps. So that is how you define a variable. So we did similar thing when we were doing bash scripting. So like I said, it's the same concept, but I just felt I needed to do a separate video for it for better understanding. And there are still some other things I would still discuss on this video. Now, one thing I want us to notice about what I just did now is that this variable that I've defined now, this variable is a temporary variable. What I mean by a temporary variable is that the moment I shut down this system or this VM and I restart the VM, this variable wipes off because it is not saved. So and that will usher us into one of the files on our system called .bashrc. So this is the dot file that we'll be considering. So .bashrc is where you store persistent variables. So if you want any variable to be persistent, you store it in this .bashrc. So once you store it there, whenever you spin up your VM again, it's still there. You can still access this variable. So let's quickly store the variable. So let's vim .bashrc. So this is what is inside .bashrc. So you can see some variables that have been defined. You can see alias here. So you can also put anything that you want to persist. See some aliases. So anything you want to persist, anything you want to always have access to after you shut down your VM, you put it here and it's going to save. So let's export. So this is how you write it: export. Let's say greeting. So it was greeting we did the other time because so we did hello from DevOps. Hello from DevOps. So we are going to save this. So the moment you add any input into your .bashrc, what you want to do next is to apply those changes, because you saving it this way doesn't really apply the change. So as I've saved it here now, if I shut down my VM and restart it, I won't find what I just saved there. That's because I've not saved the changes. So how do you save changes? You type source bashrc. So me typing source and the file path is what is going to enable me save this. So it means that this change has been saved in my bash arrow. So if I shut down my VM and I restart the VM, it's still going to be there. So it becomes persistent. So how do I confirm that what I did as I did in save? So we're going to do the same thing we did the other time. We're going to echo greeting. So you can see it after we echoed when we echoed greeting, it showed hello from DevOps. So the last thing another thing I want to talk about is alias. So aliases is basically it shortens the command. It shortens the command that you want to use. Say, for example, now, if you're doing Kubernetes, you would do something like kubectl. So let's say you want to shorten this command. So, and you just give it an alias k, because kubectl. Most DevOps engineers do this a lot because it's the stress of having to type kubectl all the time can actually be time consuming. So we just save it as an alias, and then whenever we want to, instead of doing kubectl, we just do k. So if we do k, it recognizes that what we mean is kubectl. But just like I said, everything I do here on the terminal is temporary. If I shut down this VM, this alias that I've done now will wipe off. So I need to add it in the .bashrc file to make it persistent. So lastly, one of the files that DevOps engineers are going to work with is .env. So this is your environmental file, or your environment. This is where you store your environmental variables if you're working in a production environment. So whenever you want to store your environmental variable, you store it here. You create a file called .env. So like I explained on the first day, any file that starts with dot is actually a hidden file. So if I create a file called .env now and I do ls, I'm not going to see that file because it's a hidden file. It's one of the when I say security measures that has been put in place. So that's why we call it an environmental variable. When you put anything in the .env file, it doesn't get shown to the outside person. So, but only when the system administrator comes and does ls-la, that shows us all the files, both the hidden files and all that. That's when this person can actually see that, okay, there's a .env file in the system. But if it's just a normal random person and the person just comes and does ls, person is not going to see anything. So let's create this file called .env. So when I click on enter, it has created, but when I do ls, I'm not seeing .env, any .env. But when I do ls-a, so you can see the file that I created here. So basically that is that's all I just wanted to talk about today. It's a really quick one. I just wanted to reiterate on this, on the importance of environmental variable, and how to make your variables persistent, because I realized I didn't touch it. I didn't say anything about it. So you might want to create a variable without making it persistent, and then when you restart your VM, you discover that the variable you created is no longer there. And then you start to wonder what has actually happened. So yes, when you create a variable, when you create an alias, whatever you create, if you want, as long as you want to make it persistent, you put it in your .bashrc file, and that makes it persistent. And if you should restart your VM, you still have access to those configurations or those settings that you have done. So that was a quick one for me today. We're going to see again tomorrow. So until then, cheers.